Hi, my name is Charlie. Welcome back to another video. Sorry I haven't uploaded in a while. There hasn't been really anything happen in the tech industry for me to want to talk about anything, so Apple event was yesterday. Let's talk about it. Today Apple held their California streaming event. What does this mean? This is new hardware. It's September, so this is new iPhones, new Apple Watches, and usually a new iPad, which there was. There's two new iPads. So the star of the show for me is the iPad mini. The iPad mini has had the biggest update in a while. You know, it's got the same liquid retina display as the iPad Pros. Not 120 Hz, no promotion on that one. But Apple Pencil 2 support, you know, it just looks amazing. If you're an iPad mini user, it's definitely an upgrade. There's nothing really there for me to say that it's not worth it. Nothing immediately jumps out at me saying this is not worth it, this is a con, don't buy it. You know, the iPad mini is something that doesn't get updated quite a lot. Not yearly refreshed like the budget iPads or the Apple Watches or the phones. So it is worth the update if you are an iPad mini user. That's my take on that. But also, let's talk about the streaming services for a minute. So Apple TV and stuff, there's got some new seasons and new series is coming out, which they did say. Also, Fitness Plus is getting a good sort of refresh. You know, they're adding Pilates, they're adding meditations, and with iOS 15 there's SharePlay through Workout, which is very good. Anyway, let's talk about the iPhones now. This is the star of the show, the iPhone. You know, everyone watches it for the iPhones, the Apple Watches and stuff, but the iPhone 13, 13 mini, 13 Pro and 13 Pro Max, they've been released, they've been announced yesterday along with everything else I've just mentioned. The prices are staying the same, but I noticed actually in the UK they're lower. They would usually be the same price from dollars to pounds sterling. They would usually be the same price, but it's not, which is weird. So the 13 mini was a good phone, you know, so the iPhone 12 mini was a good phone. I never owned it, but I watched a load of reviews and stuff, and a lot of people were saying, you know, it was just as good as the 12, but the battery life was terrible. People loved the smaller form size of it, you know, the fact that you can put it anywhere, pocket it in any kind of pocket. You know, it's very small, it's versatile, it's powerful, just as powerful as the 12 Pro Max, you know, they had the same chip. So so for the 13 mini to, you know, have a bigger battery is good. So bigger battery standard on all of the new iPhones, which is amazing. It's 2.5 hours for the Pro Max, which is a massive increase. But let's talk about the 13 for a minute. The iPhone 13 doesn't seem like much of a jump from the iPhone 12. As an iPhone 12 user, you know, I haven't once thought that my phone wasn't fast enough. I haven't once thought that, you know, I needed more camera features. And battery life I think is good, but you know what? I'm not going to complain. For the same price, it's not a price increase, you know. I wouldn't upgrade from the 12 to the 13. I think that's a bit pointless. But if you're a bit lower, you know, if you have an older iPhone maybe, and the 13 is in your price range, it is a good buy. You know, it's still got the same OLED display. It's a brighter OLED display actually. So it is brighter. So I think it's peak 120 nits brightness, which is very bright. You won't really need to use it that bright, but it's bright. And overall, the 13 just seems really just a normal bog standard iPhone made for everyone, which is good to see that Apple are actually catering features towards that. It's good to see that Apple actually do really want to keep the main market happy with the 13s and the 12s. So let's get on to the 13 Pros now. This is where, you know, the entire narrative of Apple events has sort of been flipped on its head for. So for example, if you compared the iPhone 12 to the 12 Pro, the only real difference you got was like 1 GB of RAM and an extra camera lens. Apart from that, it was the same size, still had the same, you know, subjectively bad battery, the same processor. There wasn't really a difference, which is why I made my iPhone wish list. You know, I was saying a lot in that video that, you know, the Pros need something more to deserve the Pro name. They need stuff that deserves, you know, Pros demand more features than the normal average consumer. And it's good to see Apple sort of they don't listen to me, of course, but it's just the general market. The market was demanding that the Pro phones had more features for professional uses. and it's actually really good to see that they listened. So the iPhone 13 Pro and Pro Max are the same this year. Unlike last year, you know, they had that sensor shift in the 12 Pro Max, but it's good to see now that the 12 Pro and the 12 Pro Max don't have any difference apart from the size of the phone. That would mean, you know, bigger battery life in the 12 Pro Max, in the 13 Pro Max, because it does have it's a bigger chassis. You know, you can put more battery in a bigger phone. But other than that, there are no features that are on the 13 Pro that aren't on the 13 Pro Max. Sorry, the other way around. That are on the 13 Pro Max that aren't on the 13 Pro. So it's looking like a lot like the iPhone XS. You know, the XS and the XS Max were exactly the same apart from the sizing, which is really good. It's amazing to see that. So what are the features, you ask? Cool. ProMotion display. This is the first time it's ever been introduced into an iPhone, 120Hz display. Finally on the iPhone 13 Pros and the 13 Pro Max. It's amazing to say. It's amazing to see. You know, I have it on my iPad Pro. It's amazing. You know, just fast, fluid, adaptive refresh rate. It helps with my battery life a lot. And when you're scrolling through stuff, it is you'll notice it. It's one of those features where, you know, the display is the main part of the phone. So if you're going to focus any kind of attention on a phone, it should be on the display, I think, personally. You know, it's an amazing, it's brighter now. 120Hz adaptive refresh rate. Like I was saying in my old video, in my iPhone wishlist video, I was saying that it needs like a sort of LTPO panel like the Apple Watch. I'm not even wearing my watch, it's charging. Get into watches in a minute though. And stuff like that. And like, it's good to see that Apple are actually really sort of listening. I feel like I predicted quite a lot of it, where I was just saying it needed a refresh rate where it was varying. It doesn't need to be at 120Hz all the time when you're messaging. It doesn't need to happen. It's a waste of battery life. But whereas, you know, when you're scrolling through Instagram, it's fast moving, you know, you're doing a lot of things. Gaming, for example. If you game a lot on your iPhone, you know, you want that 120 FPS. You want that. Pardon me. You want that. It's amazing to see that ProMotion. You know, the display is the main way you use your phone, so it's good to see that it's now 120Hz and it's brighter. Secondly, for the first time since the iPhone X and Face ID was actually put into the phone, it's been revised now. It's actually a smaller notch. And I can't believe I'm only saying this now in 2021, when we've had the notch since, 2017, 18, since the iPhone X. You know, it's only been long enough. You know, when you've got phones like the Galaxy Fold, you know, having under the display cameras. I don't see why we're only just doing this now. You know, the market moved on to hole punches years ago. I don't see why Apple is so late, but it's typical fashion. They turn up late. You know, it's a big selling point. The notch is smaller, and this will make an exceptional difference on the 13 mini. You know, the Face ID sensor is exactly the same size on whatever phone. So on the Pro Max, it seems smaller. But on the mini, because it's the same size and the display is smaller, the notch takes up more of the phone. So on the mini, this is going to be an exceptional difference. Cool. So overall, I think the 13 Pro has a lot more to its name now. You know, typical from like the MacBook Air and the MacBook Pro, the MacBook Pro has one more GPU core in the M1 version. That's sort of the same with this phone, with the phones now, because the A15, there's two different kinds. Like, it's not as good as I was saying, like the A15 Omega, like what I was saying in my iPhone wishlist video. There is a small difference. There's one more GPU core on the iPhone 13 Pro series. It's good, you know, more for your money, we'll take it. Anything more, you know, give me more for my money. Give me more for my money. Cool. The 13 Pro users are going to be very happy this year. The camera's got a massive upgrade. They're massive, they're huge. You look at the screenshots for the 13 Pro, it takes up half of the phone. You know, just width-wise, it's massive. But, I mean, if you use a camera as your main business for your phone, you know, if you want to shoot TikTok, if you're a social media guru, innit? If you're an influencer and you use your phone for your business and your cameras are vital to you, then this year's upgrade are going to be massive. They're going to be massive for you, you know. Cinematic mode, you can pull your focus towards the background to yourself, you know. You can do this on typical cameras for years, you know, with the actual lens. But It's on phones now, which is good. Looks a bit tacky, it does look a bit electronic, but you know, you take it or leave it. It's the first generation. I'm guessing the 14s, they'll improve it and make it better. Of course, a cinematic mode. ProRes is finally on iPhone Pro series, which is good. This is a very good video, you know, codec. I think it's a codec. Anyway, it's a good video. It's a good way to shoot video, you know. It's only on really expensive cameras, so it's good to see that a very expensive phone is getting a, you know, something that Apple makes themselves. You know, it is good to see finally that there is that pipeline now. You can shoot ProRes on your iPhone, edit it on your Mac, you know, deliver it and upload it to social media users, whatever the fuck you want to do. It's there, you can do that now. But it's worth noting though that it takes up a lot of storage, and if you only use the base 128GB model, you'll be limited to 1080p ProRes video. This has to be known. If you want to use ProRes for your video, for your business, I would recommend buying a higher storage model, maybe 512GB, maybe even a terabyte. If it's your business, I think it's worth doing that. And that goes into the pricing as well. You know, there's a terabyte option model now. I was saying this in my other video, it was leaked. People didn't believe it. I thought it would be, you know. I've always made the case in my other videos that as cameras are getting better and as, you know, things are taking more data to store, it only makes sense for you to put more storage in a phone. And I was saying another thing from my wish list came out as well, that the iPhone's standard storage was 128GB. I think I was the only person to ever say that, you know. I was watching all the other videos, no one ever said that. I'm actually quite happy with myself that I called that. I knew that they was going to do that, it made sense. Overall though, you know, a new chipset is on the Pro, different from the 13s. A new camera system, vastly different, is new from the 13s. Better battery life, you know, across the entire thing, but you will get the best battery life on the 13 Pro because 13 Pro Max, sorry, because it is bigger. You know, you're getting a better display now, 120Hz display. Don't overlook this. Please, if you are in the market for a new phone, do not overlook 120Hz display. Go into an Apple store and look at it. You need to hold it in your hand and use it. I promise you, you know, you don't think it's that good. You don't think that it's worth the extra money. You'll thank yourself if you do buy it. It's very expensive, but now people are buying phones on contracts and stuff, you know. You could buy this phone on a 3-year contract and it'll be amazing for 3 years. You know, I'm on a 2-year contract, so I'm not upgrading to any of these phones. You know, I've got an iPhone 12. I don't see the point in upgrading them. If I want to use ProMotion, I've got an iPad. You know, I don't need... ProMotion, for me, isn't vital. For me. But it doesn't mean it's not nice. You know, if you're in a market for a new phone, it is an upgrade. It is. It is. You need to see it. If you are in a market from... I would say anything that doesn't have an OLED display. If you don't have an OLED display, iPhone, so this is iPhone, you know, excluding the iPhone 11 and iPhone 10R, you know, all of the iPhone 10s, 10s, 10s Max, 11 Pro, 11 Pro Max, all of the 12s now, and the 13s, they're all OLED displays, and that is a vast difference. So if you're on an iPhone 8 Plus, for example, an iPhone 7 Plus, iPhone 6s, I think now is probably the year to upgrade. You know, there's a massive difference in it for you now. Standard, that's what I'm going to say about the phones. Buy the 13 Pro if you're in the market. Do your own research, talk about it. Cool. Apple Watches now. Series 7 was announced today with very underwhelming features. It can charge faster, is always a bonus. You know, you always want quick charging for your devices, especially if they want you to wear it every day and every night. Apple Watch boasts sleep tracking, they boast wearing it all day for the massive health benefits, and I do both of them, but I have found with my Series 5 that the charging is very slow, and that by the time I want to get out of the house and do something, my Apple Watch is only on 50%. So for them to boast quicker charging in the iPhone, usually Apple like to give you new health stuff, you know, temperature sensors, you can take an ECG on the go, blood oxygen sensors. But you know, there were leaks that they did try to do a health feature this year, temperature, but I'm guessing they couldn't get it to work before they, you know, had to submit this model to regulators and to put it into mass production ready for the fall this year. So Series 8 is probably the one to wait for. You know, I am hearing in the works that there are blood glucose sensors and body temperature gauges and stuff like that in the new Apple Watches and stuff. So they're in the works. I would wait. You know, if you're a Series 6 user, amazing. Wait. Series 5, it starts to get a bit more interesting there because you don't have the blood oxygen sensor, you know, and quicker charging is always good for me. So I am half considering the Apple Watch Series 7. I'll do more research into that when it comes out. Watch some reviews, look at it in Apple Store. I do want a new watch, so I will come back to you on that one. Larger displays are always a good thing. You know, I've switched from my Series 3 to my Series 5 because of two main reasons. You know, battery life, display, and ECG. You know, that big three things that I prioritise in my life. You know, I have a heart problem. I like to keep it on top of my heart and to be always ready to have a portable ECG on me. It's a lifesaver. It is a life changer. It could potentially save my life. So I do take that seriously. And it is good, but it is a hard sell, this Apple Watch, if you're a Series 6 user. It really is. There is not much different. Yeah, the display is brighter, but I think it's bright enough. It doesn't really bother me that this year's display is brighter. They didn't say anything about a new processor for the Apple Watch, so I don't think it's going to be faster. The only massive real world thing I can see is the fact that there's now a keyboard on your Apple Watch now if you're typing a message because of the bigger display and the bigger UI elements. So buttons and stuff that are quite finicky to press before are bigger and enlarged now because of the new size display. So overall, the Apple Watch is a buy. I do think it's a solid Apple Watch. If you're in the market for an Apple Watch, you won't regret it. So if the camera angle changed, everyone, my camera died, so it just stopped recording the outro, so I need to do it again. Cool, anyway. So budget iPads are also out as well, so good upgrade, you know, new chip, new everything really, you know. Oh no, same old display, same old chassis, same old Apple Pencil 1 support. You know, they really do need to revamp the iPad, so hopefully that comes next year. But otherwise, you know, it's just been a really solid event. The iPhone 13 Pro is the star of the show. The Pro Max has sort of been undershadowed now. You know, if you do really want the good size, you know, if you do really want the 6.7 inch size, go for it. Why not? You know, you won't regret it. But the iPhone 13, you know, especially coming from the iPhone 12 Pro, the 12 Pro was underwhelming and wasn't worth buying. But now the 13 Pro is... It is better. It's the same as the Pro Max. They're the same sort of internals. So overall, it's a good buy. I do think personally the 13 Pro, you'll be seeing a lot more of them over the next couple months. People using them, people buying them, people understanding that it is different and that it is worth finally buying it. Overall, good event, solid event. I'm happy with all of the products they announced. You know, Apple Watch, underwhelming. You know, iPad Mini, second place in terms of star of the show, only because it's a very niche market. Not a lot of people buy them. Not for home use anyway. It's used a lot in businesses, so maybe they'll be happy. Apple Watch, I'd wait for next year. If you do have a Series 6 or 5, I'd even wait for next year. But other than that, thank you for watching. Buy a iPhone 13 Pro if you're iPhone 10 or lower. I think you can't regret it. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.